There's a quiet frustration that a lot of men carry, but rarely say out loud. You work, you try. You improve yourself, and still, the job you know you're capable of. You don't get it. The kind of woman you're genuinely attracted to and feel aligned with, she doesn't choose you. After a while, it starts to feel like life is rigged against you. And that's where a dangerous thought creeps in. If I can't have the career I deserve, if I can't have the woman I'm truly attracted to, then what's the point of all this? But here's the truth most people won't tell you. That thought doesn't come from reality. It comes from accumulated disappointment. Because when effort doesn't match outcome for long enough, your mind starts trying to solve the pain by rewriting the meaning of life itself. But your life is not worthless, it's under construction. A job, even a great one, is not proof of your value. It's an opportunity. A woman, even the perfect one, is not meaning. She's a partner. When you make those things the source of meaning, you give away control over your own life. And the harsh reality is, no system, no employer, no woman is obligated to recognize your worth instantly. But that doesn't mean your worth isn't real. It means you're still in the phase where it hasn't been fully expressed, positioned, or seen. Some men quit here. They say, if I don't get what I want, life has no meaning. Other men do something different. They step back. They recalibrate. They ask, where am I being overlooked, and why? What skills, positioning, or environment am I missing? Am I chasing validation or building leverage? Because meaning isn't handed to you by a job title or a relationship. It's built by becoming someone who can create options. You're allowed to want more? A better career, a beautiful, compatible woman. A life that actually feels right. But don't turn those desires into a verdict on your existence. Because the moment you decide your life is meaningless, you stop doing the very things that could change it. And that's the real trap.
When they lock the doors, why it all feels pointless, look around you. A man wakes up at 6 a.m., drags himself to a job he hates, or worse, to no job at all. He clocks out, scrolls, sees another 22-year-old with a 6-figure remote gig and a girlfriend who actually looks excited to see him. And something inside just breaks. Society sells us one story. Work hard, level up, become high value, and the rewards will follow. Good money, respect. A woman who chooses you, not because she has to settle, but because she wants to. But for a growing number of men, that equation has been quietly rewritten. The doors are closed before you even knock. First, the jobs. Entry-level roles that used to build a life now go to diversity quotas, internal referrals, or women who check the non-threatening box HR loves. Mid-tier positions demand credentials most men can't afford in time or debt. High-status careers get kept harder than ever. Networking parties where you need the right face, the right last name, the right vibe to even get in the room. You grind anyway, you cope. You tell yourself money isn't everything, until you realize it kind of is. Because without resources, you're invisible, disposable, replaceable. Then the other half of the script, women. Not a woman, a looks-matched woman. The one who doesn't recoil when she sees your face in daylight. The one whose pupils don't shrink when you walk up. The one who doesn't keep you as an orbiter while she waits for Chad's text. That woman, statistically, has been conditioned to aim 1 to 3 points above her own league. Apps accelerated it. Social media made it dogma. So even if you're average, hard-working, kind, you're still denied. Not because you're evil, not because you're abusive, simply because enough better options exist in her phone. Put those two together, denied meaningful work, plus denied meaningful intimacy, and the result is predictable. Life starts to feel worthless. Not dramatic, suicidal worthless, though some reach that edge. Just grey, pointless. A conveyor belt of maintenance calories, screen time, and sleep. No legacy, no warmth. No future tense worth believing in. Why bother? Stops being a question and becomes the default setting. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's hopeless for everyone. I'm saying, for more men every year, the system has removed the two strongest biological and social anchors that used to give male life shape and purpose. Provision that is respected. Pair bonding that is genuinely desired. Take both away, and you're left staring at a screen asking what the point was. If you're still watching, you already know the feeling. The question is what now? Because pretending the cage isn't locked won't make the bars disappear.
We were told there was a map. Study hard, work harder, and the world opens up. You get the career that reflects your effort and the partner who reflects your worth. But for many men today, that map is a lie. You hit an invisible wall. The worthy job feels out of reach despite your skills. The looks match partner feels like a ghost in a digital gallery. When these two pillars, provision and companionship, are denied, a dangerous thought takes root. Is my life worthless? Historically, a man's meaning was tied to his utility. If you couldn't provide, you weren't viable. If you couldn't find a mate, the lineage ended. Evolutionarily, our brains are wired to see failure in these areas as a total system collapse. It's not just bad luck. It feels like a death sentence to the ego. When the economy shifts or the social landscape becomes a digital desert, that biological drive has nowhere to go. It turns inward. It becomes bitterness. It becomes the belief that if the world doesn't want what you have to offer, then you have nothing to offer at all. But here is the hard truth we have to face. If your meaning is entirely dependent on a hiring manager's email or a woman's swipe, you have handed the keys to your soul to a stranger. If meaning equals job plus woman, then you are a variable in someone else's equation. You become a ghost waiting for permission to exist. The feeling of worthlessness comes from the belief that you are a product waiting to be bought, rather than an architect building a world, even if that world starts in a room of one. A man's life is not made meaningful by what he is given, but by what he cultivates in the face of denial. The worthy job may be blocked, so you build the worthy skill in the shadows. The looks match may be absent, so you become the man you would respect even if no one was watching. Meaning isn't a destination you reach when you get the paycheck and the girl. Meaning is the stubborn, defiant refusal to be broken by their absence. It is the fire you light yourself when the world refuses to give you a spark. You are more than a resume. You are more than a relationship status. The world may deny you access, but it cannot deny your existence. Build anyway, grow anyway, exist anyway. Your worth was never theirs to define.
There's a question nobody in positions of power wants to take seriously. What happens to a man when the two things he was built to pursue, meaningful work and genuine connection, are both systematically placed out of reach? Not through his own failure, not through laziness or lack of effort, but through structural conditions he didn't create and can't easily escape. The answer increasingly is this: he stops trying, he checks out. He decides, consciously or not, that a game rigged against him isn't worth playing. And then everyone acts surprised. Let's start with the job market, because this is where the first wound is inflicted. Work is not just income for men. This is something economists and psychologists know but rarely say out loud in polite company. For most men, work is identity, it's purpose. It's the answer to the question, what are you, that every culture on earth has asked men since the beginning of recorded history. When that's taken away, when a man is overqualified and ignored, underpaid and disposable, automated out of relevance or credentialed out of consideration, something deeper than his bank account is damaged. His sense of being a legitimate participant in the world collapses. The statistics are not abstract. Male labor force participation has been declining for decades in most Western countries. Deaths of despair, suicide, overdose, alcohol-related mortality are overwhelmingly male phenomena. The geographic correlation between deindustrialized areas, male unemployment, and social collapse is not a coincidence. It is a mechanism. A man without worthy work is not just poor. He is existentially unmoored, and an unmoored man is dangerous, well, to himself first and eventually to everyone around him. Now add the second layer. Evolutionary psychology and common sense agree on something that makes modern discourse deeply uncomfortable. Physical attraction is not arbitrary. It's not socially constructed. It's not something you can lecture out of existence with the right terminology. Men are drawn towards certain physical traits. Women are drawn towards certain status and resource signals. These are not opinions, they are documented, cross-cultural, evolutionarily stable patterns. The brutal arithmetic of modern dating, amplified by apps that reduce human beings to a left or right binary, means that a significant portion of men are simply not matching. Not because they're terrible people, not because they have nothing to offer, but because the system filters on a narrow band of signals, and many men don't clear the threshold. What does it do to a man to want genuine connection? to want a partner, a family, a reason to come home, and to find that door functionally closed. Not dramatically slammed, just quietly, persistently, algorithmically shut. It does what denial of any fundamental human need does. It creates pain. And pain that has no legitimate outlet becomes either depression or rage. We are watching both in real time at scale.
Here's what makes this genuinely serious, rather than just uncomfortable. The two deprivations compound each other in a feedback loop that is very difficult to escape. A man without meaningful work loses the status signals that make him attractive in the mating market. A man who fails repeatedly in the mating market loses the motivational fuel, the reason to build, to strive, to become, that makes work meaningful. Each failure reinforces the other. The floor drops away. And the cultural response to this dynamic has been, for the most part, extraordinarily unhelpful. Tell him to work on himself. Tell him his standards are too high. Tell him his pain is a form of entitlement. Tell him that other people have it worse. None of this addresses the structural conditions. All of it adds shame to an already collapsing situation. Shame is not a policy, it is an accelerant. A life needs two things to feel worth living: the sense that you are contributing something, and the sense that you are connected to someone. Strip both away simultaneously. Deny a man work worthy of his effort and connection worthy of his longing, and you have not just made his life harder. You have made it, in a very real and non-dramatic sense, feel meaningless. Meaninglessness is not a philosophical abstraction. It has a body count. The men who are checking out, dropping out, radicalizing, self-medicating, disappearing into screens and substances and ideologies that promise belonging. These are not weak men who failed to adapt. Many of them are men who ran the cost-benefit analysis of a society that offered them nothing and concluded, rationally, that full participation wasn't worth the price of admission. This is not an argument for lowering standards. It's not a demand that anyone be handed anything. It's an argument that a society which systematically blocks men from meaningful work and genuine connection, and then expresses bewilderment at male dysfunction, disengagement and despair, is not diagnosing its problem honestly. You cannot build a stable civilization on a foundation of men who have been made to feel worthless, not because men are more important than anyone else, but because no group of human beings, none, can sustain dignity, purpose, and pro-social behavior when both gates are locked. Open the gates, or stop being surprised at what grows in the dark.